Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Thank God it's a Friday. I don't know why I say that on Friday, but don't say it on Tuesday. I should be saying thank God it's Tuesday. Anyhow, it's the weekend, but we'll be looking at, there's so much going on, and luckily there's a matter of division of labor, so many topics, and what we'll be looking at today, maybe look away from some of those things that are out there for the moment, and look at technology as it affects us. Everybody, just about everybody now has a phone, and it works. Hello, hello. However, increasingly technology is coming into play. When GSM telephony came to Nigeria, it was on 2G. Then we went through, 3G, 4G, that is G for generation, 2G, 3G, and now we're in 4G, and we're actually now beginning to go towards 5G. In fact, there's some infrastructural work that has indeed started, but maybe we should learn about, I thought we should find out a bit more about this, and we're very lucky to have a computer scientist and technology expert, Mr. Stephen Oniya. He is CEO of SoftCity Group. Thank you very much for coming on the program. It is our pleasure, especially as there's so many conspiracy theories. For some reason, more than any of the G's from 2, 3, 4, this 5G that we're about to go into now, it really has had something of a bad rap. Maybe around the world and also in Nigeria. In short, people were even afraid of it. Before you begin to explain it to us, I'm sure you also saw all those, instances that we're talking about. What do you think brought about this sort of fear, phobia almost, about 5G? What is it about 5G that was thought to be dangerous to the health of humans?
Thank you very much for that question. Thank you. Most of all, we are all hearing about the so-called negative impact of 5G. I want to classify them under what we call fake news.
Okay.
And it's because it's a product of coincidence. Because 5G evolution actually started in 2018. But we in Nigeria here, we got to start getting involved with the drive towards the 5th generation cellular network around 2019, 2020, which was when COVID came. So it came at the same time we had so many bad things going on across the world. And the fake news sponsors, if I could use that word for them, they capitalized on the side activities that was happening per pursue side 5G evolution in Nigeria, and they made it look like 5G was the cause of the pandemic, 5G was the cause of climate change, 5G was the cause of ocean disruption, was the cause of wildlife death. They made it look as if 5G caused every bad thing that happened in the world, but that is unproven, it is unscientific, and it is untrue.
Where did they even get something of a leg up to be able to even go to town like that? By which I mean that the equipment that you're going to need to function within 5G, I'm sure it's different from what it was with 2, 3, and 4G that we're in now. First of all, just for me to understand it, are we going to need a whole different infrastructure, or the infrastructure we have now can work for 5G?
Thank you very much for that question once again. Let me walk you through the evolution of 5G, how it originated. Now, 5G is a standardized, it's actually a standard. There's a difference between the 5G itself and the 5G network. Now, the 5G itself is a standard that has been standardized by the 3GPP, that's the Third Generation Partnership Project. It's a organization of standards organizations across the world that standardize the 5G NR, which is the 5G new radio. That's basically what gives us the 5G experience, the 5G new radio. Now, the standardization is such that it's backward compatible, because there was a release 15, I think in 2018, there's another release 16. Basically, it's an evolving standardization. So they're not even done with standardizing how 5G itself should be deployed, but the framework has been set and commercial deployment have started. Now, 5G as a technology when it comes to the way the network have to implement it. You don't need to change all their mast. You can actually get 5G from the existing 4G infrastructures we have.
You can?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, the only difference between 5G is it's more, we need to also talk about the advantages. It's more denser. The network is denser. Let's take, for example, a typical 4G network can accommodate an average or a maximum, if I'm not mistaken, of 4,000 users per cell. You know the way our cellular network are designed in mast, and we have them stuck. But a 5G network can accommodate up to 1 million users per cell. Now the difference is the radio interface, the air interface, what they call in telecommunication. How does it? How many devices can you support simultaneously to create low latency and higher bandwidth? So they don't need to rebuild, pick down all their masts and do something. No, they don't need that. The current standard level we have for 5G allows you to implement across your existing 4G infrastructure. Yes,
but it's not going to be as efficient as a purpose-built mast/infrastructure.
Yes,
because I've seen pictures of some of them in the US, and they do seem to be a bit different from what we have now.
Yeah, correct. You know what we should consider. You know, telecommunication is a business, and we should consider the business use case of 5G. If you come now and say, hey, all of you, okay, we have two people that have the spectrum, that's MTN and MAFAB Communications, they now have the 5G. We can't just tell MTN, take down all your mast, rebuild a new mast, first, the financial requirement for that, even the people standardizing 5G had that in mind. So they made this backward compatible standardization in the first release, such that you can start, then build a business use case on that existing infrastructure. Then over time, they can continually drop a mast and replace the mast as the standardization continues to evolve. Okay,
that can be done. It therefore implies that there will be something of a, because of what you've just said, that it's a business, so people can't just pull out all these stops. So it appears that for not being 5G, purposed, there will be some, edge, losses in terms of the benefits that we can get from it. But it will still be way ahead of where we are on 4G now.
This question you are asking, I would love to connect it to 4G.
Sure.
Now, you see, most people have been selling 5G as high speed. Yes, it gives high bandwidth, which automatically should translate to high speed. That is both bandwidth, high bandwidth and high speed are two different things. Now, those of us in the field of computing, we know they are not the same, because one is capacity and one is rate. Now, if you look at 4G, we had 4G, but some people don't even have 1G where they live. We have 4G, but people are not even getting 4G speed. Now, it's not because the capacity for 4G does not exist on our infrastructures. The capacity for 4G exists perfectly well, but people are not getting that maximum speed. So, and now we have bespoke 4G infrastructure by our telecom. Now, there are so many things that contribute to your ability to maximize an hardware device. Take, for example, for your phone. A typical Nigerian is not using up to 60% of the capacity of the phone they hold. So there's so many things that contribute to the capacity, how you can maximize it. Now, whether you do 5G with bespoke infrastructures where you have to take down a whole infrastructure and build a new one, or you do backward compatibility such that you use new air interface, I mean the radio interface, on existing 4G infrastructures, because this is still networking, you will still get that capacity that 5G has the potentials to provide.
I see.
So whether we are using 4G infrastructure or we take down all our mass and build, regardless, it's the capacity that matters to us. Do we get the low latency and do we get the capacity? And this has been tested. They've experimented it and it's been proven.
You've mentioned that word twice in recent times, the latency bit. Low latency. Let's just get that out of the way.
Okay.
What exactly is low latency?
That is actually the selling point of 5G. That is the power that 5G brings, high bandwidth and low latency. So I'm going to describe it in two ways, in layman terms, so it's easy for everybody to comprehend. Bandwidth is capacity. Take, for example, you can upload 50 megabytes of data in 10 seconds. With 5G, you're probably going to do that same 50 megabytes in 0.01 seconds.
Well, that's clear.
Yeah.
So you can see immediately the difference between where we are now and what 5G
now,
can
the reason
do.
why people mistake bandwidth for speed is because, this is let's say this is the brand. You can move 5 through. And because you have so many pile of that 5 gig, they go through sequentially until they move through as packets of data. When you have a higher bandwidth, instead of having your data sequentially move serially through that tiny space, they move at once because they have a bigger bandwidth. That's why people mistake it for speed, because you have the more capacity to move more volume of data in a shorter period. Now, latency, the way an aeroplane moves, where you want to take off, you have this lag period, you move gently, then after a while you take off. That period of latency in data, when we call data at rest, for your data to move from your device or from anything to move into a data in transit state, it goes through a latency. That's where we call it a takeoff, the data takeoff. Now, bandwidth reduces that latency significantly. If it takes an aeroplane to move for 3 minutes before takeoff, probably on a 4G network, please. And now, if you use that same aeroplane on a 5G network, it will move in 1 second and take off. So that low latency and high bandwidth are the potentials we all get with 5G.
Thank you very much for that, explanation on clientification. After all, you're IT expert and computer scientist. But when people call in, there are a lot of times on this program, it's a phone-in program as well. And, we think of it as a latency issue when I say something and the guy over there doesn't hear me for maybe 5 seconds. Then we say, there's a lag. There's a lag.
You can call it a form of latency.
That is a form of latency, right?
You can.
And if both of us were on a 5G, for example, 5G device, then whether it is Madam Adao, whether it is Mazi Okoro Apo, all these times that because they're very, very far away and because of that there's a latency, all of that with the increased bandwidth and consequent capacity of efficient deployment of this telephony waiting call, then it will be no problem. I like the way you just said is that
I think you've become an expert yourself.
Well,
you grasp it very well.
I just listen to you guys. Now, the other thing, because there are going to be so many things that can now be done with 5G. So before we begin to look into them, you said, and it's very important for our neck of the woods here, that there are areas that don't even have 1G self. Now, this 5G we're talking about, the power users will probably know about it, and even if they don't know about it, but they are power users, we've got to the situation where your phone can replace your laptop of 10 years ago.
Absolutely, yes.
Right now, in terms of crunching ability.
Yes.
All of that, apart from the phone itself, this technology also helps that, right?
Yes, but we need to know something. The current set of phones we have, the largest volume, the percentage of phones we have are not 5G phones.
Of course not.
But when the 5G phones are introduced, the way the 4G infrastructure are backward compatible, our phone will need to be a 5G phone to be able to tap into that infrastructure. And the only fear someone like me have, which I consider some of the disadvantages of this old 5G drama, is are we still going to be serving 5G to people at the top of the pyramid? Then what happens to the digital quality of life of the common Nigerians? Those are the concern I have.
Because the question that's attached to what you've just stated is that will 5G really be available or accessible to everybody?
Absolutely.
We've got to remember the Mama Sikiras of this world.
Exactly.
So about the most technological thing they do with their phones is just stay on WhatsApp and be forwarding messages up and down. But sorry, that's where they are. That's what they want to do. So they'll be able to do that. But I imagine that business-wise, media-wise, for example, editing on your phone will become a lot more doable. Video editing on your phone will become a lot more
cloud-based editing. Yes,
blazing speed. We know all of that, and so that's part of it. So the question I wanted to ask is that accessing 5G itself, our phones are not 5G yet, but you are aware that depending on the brand, you could take just a little change out of ₦1 million if you wanted to buy, any one of those phones. Just pass my neighbor and just for the bragging rights, because you also said something crucially important, that most people don't even use up to 60% of the capacity of their phone. But still, it feels good.
It feels good
to say, and I'm not going to mention a brand, I use an XYZ, you know, and there are fanboys. You know all about the XYZ fanboys and the ABC fanboys who are, I don't want to go into brand names, but they're always quarreling with each other. So that in there, affordability. I started with some phones costing just shy of ₦1 million if you really wanted to be at the very, very, very top of it.
Absolutely, you're correct.
So what can we, how is that going to affect us? Because there still are, what do they call these phones now? The basic phone that is just hello, hello. I think they call it press button or button phone or something like that. It doesn't do anything.
Feature phones,
whatever. You know, it's almost like a throwaway phone.
Exactly.
So those ones will still work on 5G in terms of hello, hello.
Absolutely. Well, 5G is not about the phone calling capacity of a device and the data crunching capacity of the device are working on two different, you know. So those phones will still be able to do the hello because your SIM is still connected to the regular phone network. But those phones basically don't even do much data, you know, so they might not be able to get the benefit of 5G.
So go back to the question that you sort of touched upon. So what benefit will 5G bring to the base of the pyramid?
Thank you very much. There's some. Let me quote a law in computer science before I proceed. It's called the Multicast Law.
Okay.
The Multicast Law says the value of any network is proportional to the square of the users on that network. Now I'm going to apply it in two ways, so I don't confuse you. Now you see, if you have a 5G network of 1,000 users, and you have that same 5G network of 10 million users. The network's value in terms of to the economy, to the network owners, to the community, to the society at large is determined by the number of people on that network. That we are basically the one that if they launch 5G now, none of us uses it and we don't get our phones and we don't use it, the value is reduced. That's what the Multicast Law says. So it's proportional to the users on that network.
So it's the interest of networks
that we all use it
to encourage people to make it possible for people to access 5G.
That's the Multicast Law. Now, you see, I'm concerned because I'm in the service scope of technology, and I'm in the service scope of technology basically, and what we are more concerned about is improving and solving problems, improving the lives and solving problems of the common man with technology. Now, there was a survey done in 2021 which indexed countries across the world, the Digital Quality of Life Index, and we ranked 82 out of 110 countries in the world, Nigeria. And how do you assess the DQLI, that's the Digital Quality of Life Index? You assess it by the internet affordability, internet quality, electronic infrastructures, electronic security, and e-governance, electronic governance. So these are the 5 components that is used to assess the DQLI, that's the Digital Quality of Life Index. Now we ranked 82. And yes, some people were celebrating that we are still best in West Africa. And it's laughable because in a country of this number of people, with population size we have, we need to be able to afford internet. It should be affordable for us. Now the fear I have, accessibility and affordability are connected. Because if I cannot afford a 5G device, then I cannot afford to even enjoy the 5G. I cannot even think of doing, you know. Now, a 5G device that a few months ago was over 600,000 naira. As of today, some 5G devices still above 300 to 400,000 naira, which is some people's year's salary.
Have they showed up in Nigeria yet, the 5G
The 5G is not started. They just auctioned the spectrum.
Okay.
They've done the testing.
I mean the phones. I mean the phone.
No, the phone. Yeah, the phones are here now. I use a 5G phone because of my work.
Okay.
And I had to labor hard to purchase it.
But even though you can't access a 5G network simply because it's a work in progress, your phone is 5G capable.
Yes, very, yes. It's very important.
And it probably, you know, came at a premium because of that 5G.
Exactly.
Because the market, these manufacturers market
because
that
to crunch data, having the transmitting systems on my device to support, the receiving and transmitting system on my phone, I need to have the processing capability, the storage. Because we're talking data here. So the phone will come at a premium price. Now, let's even have this picture that Nigeria just turn around and everybody can afford the 5G phone. And tomorrow everybody can afford to buy a phone of 300,000 or 200,000 naira because the price will continue to drop over time.
Okay.
Let's say everybody can now afford 250,000 naira phone and we can all pay for it. Now we all now want to come on the network. Now, I was asking a question a few months ago, what is the business use case this telco have? Now I've seen they're now transforming from telco to techcos. I'm sure you know they're not saying, but no longer, because they now know if you want to maximize the profitability of 5G, we need to be a tech company, not a telecom, because people won't. How many people want to pay from this data subscription fee for 5G? And when they are going to launch, like I said at the top of the pyramid, they will start with those of us in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and there are huge number of people, meaning they are already, the medical school is already working against them because they can't get the number of users needed on the 5G network to get maximum value for that network. So they need to go become a technology company so they can actually build products on their 5G infrastructure. Now I'm concerned because when we had 4G, we had a significant impact. 4G brought about this new economy called the gig economy, where you can have a side hustle as a Uber driver. You can have a side business and be selling on Instagram. It's called the gig economy. It's the economy where you don't have to have a full-time job. It's a freelance kind of job, a part-time kind of job, and you are making money.
And some have turned it into a full-time job.
Exactly.
As you know, there are people who are making their living entirely on YouTube, for example.
Exactly. Now, for us to have impact with 5G, I've said it again and again, technology is just a tool in the hands of people. Technology is not a solution itself, it's a tool. Now, there's this digital economy policy by the government, which I feel seems like a step in the right direction, that is trying to make sure they connect technology with the socio-economic programs. But the problem I have is the slow pace of the socio-economic program and the supposedly fast pace of the technology infrastructure implementation. It's same because of the one is you are making money because they're auctioning spectrums. The people. Second is you need to invest in socio-economic programs to impact people, but they're not happening pari passu. And we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we have infrastructure here, and the digital quality of life will still be here.
Which unfortunately, I think we understand because among the indices you were mentioning, I just didn't want to interrupt you, but it seemed to me that education was also a big part of it.
Absolutely, yes,
because it is from being, adequately educated that you will be sufficiently knowledgeable to know what this device can do for you. I remember, watching the news in South Africa, the documentaries on. It seems that in South Africa, in particular, we're not talking 5G now. I'm talking the base of the pyramid. Which I think is the more important segment of it. Farmers are using their telephones, even without it being 5G, to sort of enhance their business, their farm. They're getting the information, they're able to, they've connected it even without it being 5G. You probably know well about this because I believe you have an office in South Africa as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. But I don't know if we are doing that yet.
Well, I think Nigeria have actually developed with agri-tech. What you're saying, calling that agri-tech, where we have precision farming, data decision-making system in agriculture. We've actually evolved. We are doing something similar too. Our farmers, there's a lot of investment going on in farming.
Yes.
But I want to connect it back to what you said on education. You see, if you don't educate the people, if you put the technology tools in their hands, it's as useless as not putting it in their hands at all. So, but we see South Africa, the farming, we've been able to gear the young generation into farming, which is what we are doing now. We want you to know that you don't have to go out and be a banker to make ends meet. You can be a farmer. And it's
I agree, but I agree. In addition, I did see that those were the farmers that you're talking about that we have our own share of in Nigeria here, who are modern, who are highly educated, highly motivated, and are putting money behind their endeavor. That's to one side. But the regular guy who has no more than maybe half an acre to work with, he might not necessarily be as savvy, as tech savvy. But South Africans have found a way to empower even those ones. And so those ones, you see them, they're pretty much like us at the artisanal level, but they have this their little phone and they're getting advice, they're getting they seem to be connected somewhere. I don't know if we have that yet, but whatever be the case, it seems to me that 5G is going to be helpful in that direction. But I was trying to point out that even because you said in relation to a phone, many people have these high caliber phones and they're not using more than 60% of it. Probably those people over in South Africa, there's so much we could do with 2G.
Yeah, that we've not even done.
That we've not even done.
3G, you're very correct.
That we've not even done.
Even the issue of availability in our rural farming environments, even the challenge. You are very correct.
Yeah, so
very correct.
There are all these things that we were, but we still, Nigeria has been leapfrogging in technology.
Yes.
You know, because
when you say leapfrogging, let me be sure.
Yeah, but that I know what I'm talking about, or that we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, first of all, look at where they went and started from the telephony. When they had mobile telephony in the West, I mean, it was like magic, and we haven't even begun to think about it. So we missed out on all the initial areas.
Absolutely.
But then, when they brought GSM to Nigeria, we didn't have to go back to the beginning where the West had been. We just joined it. Was it 3G?
It was 2G.
It was 2G.
Yeah.
We just entered 2G straight away. Mr. Kesandu, thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Uncle Yuri, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning, Mr. Stephen.
Good morning.
Thank you for this enlightenment. You've done noble. You've done what the Ministry of Science and Technology should do. We have taken the responsibility away from them. Thank you to TVC News and Uncle Yuri. But my question is simple. You see, sir, at this material time of our life, you started with this, trying to tell us the importance of these things. You know the conspiracy theory that came with 5G network. Why is the government being so lackadaisical towards enlightening the people? Because you've said it, education is paramount. Education is key. If people do not understand these things, it's going to be a serious thing to accept the 5G. And secondly, in Nigeria today, you know we're having a challenge with buying data. You know how costly data is, and the government is not saying anything about it. With the way 5G is going to be now, its speed and everything, how you've explained, are you sure we can afford 5G network, the data? What is the possibility? And secondly, sir, I want you to be explicit and blunt. What are the demerits of 5G? Because how this speed is going, I know it's going to have some health challenges or health hazards that is going to come with this network. What is it going to come with?
Okay.
That is what most people out there think. So what do you tell us, sir? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kesando. Well, you heard him, and he referred to where we started from, that there might be health challenges. Because it is thought that people who live close to where these masts are, they actually, scientifically it has been found, that somehow leukemia or certain conditions affect them for their proximity to the masts. So you might want to rope that into answering Kesandu's question.
All right. Thank you very much for your question you've asked. It's a very, very good question. I picked 3 things from your question. Now, while we need to educate the populace about 5G, then the health implication, and what exactly are the merits of this 5G.
Okay. Now, well, the merits we've been talking about anyway.
So now for the education, educating Nigerians, I'm a little concerned because I share your concern. I think we're on the same page here. I feel we've not been well educated, not just on the merits and the conspiracy of 5G. That's even by the way, because the whole concept of 5G conspiratorially affecting the health, that one can easily be explained. But we're talking of understanding technology, because 5G is supposed to introduce new markets and new opportunities. And if the typical men on the street don't have good understanding of how they can maximize technology, then what use is that
sophisticated than the people themselves?
Thank you. Is that putting a tool in the hands of someone that the person does not even understand it or how to use it? Then it's basically not having the tool at all.
But nevertheless, Nigeria is marching on towards 5G, right?
I will explain why we need to keep marching on. Pardon me. Now, on the issue of health, you see, 5G radio frequency falls under what we call the non-ionizing radiation, meaning scientifically non-ionizing radiation. And I would appreciate if Nigerians can actually be convinced. I know it's because they've not done enough orientation, which I find challenging. And not only the government, the telcos, which are now calling themselves telcos, should educate the populace. If they can put ads on TV, they should put orientation and information on, so people can be well educated, not for a short term. They should invest in CSR for a long time. That's a corporate social responsibility in a long term, so people can be well educated. originated, because 5G does not affect your health. It's been investigated. It's been proven that it's a non-ionizing radiation that does not. It falls under a radiation class that does not affect the health.
Okay, well, I'm going to take a break now. And this, what did you call it?
Non-ionizing radiation.
Non-ionizing radiation, because that is the one that was thought to be killing birds in Europe. And you just see 500 birds, and they say, is the 5G mast that was put up closely. So we'll come back and talk more about this, look a bit more at Kesandu's questions. Stay with us, please. I'll take a quick break. We'll be right back, and of course, we'll take your calls if there are any. Okay, welcome back, and we're chatting with Stephen Oniya. Mr. Oniya is CEO of SoftCity Group. They have offices in the US, in South Africa, and indeed, why will he not have an office in Nigeria?
We're actually HQ'd in Nigeria. Our headquarters is in Nigeria.
Now, what's that thing again? The
non-ionizing radiation.
So, in other words, it's supposed to be benign. If there's any radiation at all, it's benign.
It's human. Human can tolerate it.
Humans can tolerate it.
It's just the same way. Even though if you look at radiations generally, you know we are always constantly under a form of radiation. If you use your microwave at home, you have your phone, you are making phone calls, you are within a broadcast media environment. So we are always, so there are radiation that the human body can tolerate without any negative impact.
Indeed.
Because we are 5G falls.
Indeed. In fact, in terms of what we sort of advise ourselves when you hear something like this and you don't fully understand it, people are saying, don't charge your phone in your bedroom. Take it outside to the sitting room because there are radiations. Yeah. But part of what, because Kesandu's questions, it had a number of components, and you had touched on the accessibility and affordability of telephony. Now, what's your estimate on how we're doing in terms of affordability of the internet access? Is it good? Is it expensive? That kind of a thing. Where are we now?
Without missing what, we are doing very badly. We were ranked 107 out of 110 countries in terms of affordability. We are one of the worst when it comes to internet affordability.
It's too expensive.
Too expensive, and there is this. Well, let me leave that for another day. But we are too expensive. And it's not only the doing of maybe the telcos. It's the environment, the climate.
I was going to say the environment, the climate,
the business climate.
But at the same time, I was going to ask why. But I then realized that it's not a government operation; it's a commercial venture. Exactly. Why is government allowing us to be? And now I'm speaking as a consumer. Why is government allowing us to be fleeced like this? That is to say, why can't government put its foot down? But it then occurs to me that
it's a business.
Yes, it's a business, so you can't do that. So even when you might think that your network, I'm not going to mention anyone here, STU or DEF network, that the data is too much and all of that. In fact, it's getting to a situation where one of the networks, people have this sort of common housewives tale, that one of the networks that appears to have very good data rates is so overcrowded because people go there. And going by the explanation you gave us of the bandwidth issue, you imagine
it's already congested.
Yes, it's already congested. So you got the affordable data, but people think that too many people have rushed there, and so you're not going to get the value. Again, that's explainable by the bandwidth thing you were talking about.
Exactly.
And if 5G were to come along, that problem would be sorted out.
Such network will get value because the Multicast Law will now apply. They have huge, but can those people buy 5G devices? That's what matters.
Faith in Owerri. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you for bringing your guest.
Okay.
Seriously, I'm learning so much. Formerly this 5G in the church, they said is demonic, it's going to kill us, the government is going to do something to us with 5G. So a lot of people were scared. I was scared. But with what he explained, even the G in 5G just means generation. It's not as if it's a big, a demonic thing like we used to think.
Yes.
I have about 3 people here with me. All of us are shocked. We don't even know about it. We've never Googled it. So education is really important. People need to hear this. I never knew 5G is just ordinary technology. I thought it was a spiritual thing. Thank you so much.
I understand. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for calling in, Faith. Again, that's the kind of thing that we've sort of, I don't know, WhatsApp is a powerful thing. People forward rubbish. People don't interrogate what they find out, what they put in there, and that's way. I don't want to veer too much because my thinking, the annoyance that I get is that when you send out these salacious, sensational stories, why didn't you just check on the internet proper if anybody else is carrying that kind of a story? And if you see that nobody, but the person who sent it to you, perhaps you might want to chill a bit and not send it on. But well, we have the technology, we are using it the way we can, but that's not where it's going to benefit us. It's going to benefit us it's supposed to improve the quality of our lives.
Yes,
there's supposed to be many, many more things that we can do because COVID. The good part about COVID, if one can say anything about like that, is that opportunities and businesses came about. People began to work from home. People didn't need to go into the office, and I imagine that even by the time COVID is being seen out, if indeed I can say that, there are people who are still staying on that mode of, I don't need to go into the office anymore. You know, so these are the objectives where we need to get to, but it's going to be a gradual approach, really. That's the truth that we have to face.
That's the very truth, because let me give you how we've been coming with the concept of distance in computing. Those of us in technology, we know distance.
Sorry, before you launch, Mr. Shakiru in Ilorin has called in. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, Shakiru.
Now.
Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir.
Latency times already. That is what we think of as latency. Hello, Mr. Shakiru in Ilorin. Can you hear us?
Are you speaking, sir?
Please go on. You're on air right now. Carry on.
Hello. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Go, speak.
I want to ask you a question, sir.
Sure.
Hello?
I can hear you. Ask the question.
Okay, I want to ask, during the time of 2G, when we were using 2G, we only used to go all this Facebook, but then the network was very okay for us. The network was very okay. The network was very okay for us then during 2G.
Carry on. Don't listen to yourself.
Okay.
So what's the point you wanted to make? 2G, you're saying that 2G was fine for you. Now, well, you see, that is what we, in our own local way, call latency. By the way, what just happened, you could hear it. I had said some things 3 or 4 seconds ago, and then I'm hearing it again over there. What is that all about? Is that, in terms, when you now bring it to telephony and data, what's going on there?
Okay, that itself is not just a function of latency, it's also a function of signal fluctuations. Okay. Because we are talking of data in transit now, moving through the airwaves, through radio frequency. Okay. So it could be influenced by the weather on his hand, and that thing you were hearing, I think he had his TV on. I think it was his TV that was echoing back to you, and there could be interference. Normally, you just tell him, turn down your TV.
You know about our work. You know about our work here. The thing to do is say, please turn off your TV sets, because people sometimes want to listen to themselves as they are making the call, and that never works. So that could explain that echo in there. But he didn't get to finish. But he was going along the lines of when we had 2G, he was enjoying Facebook, and so I don't know where he was going to land. But I wonder what he was probably saying is that. And by the way, he didn't say it, but that's the extent of internet for most people. For a lot of people. Social media. Instagram, and you know all of them. So I think Shakiru wanted to know if, I don't know what he wanted to know, but I'm just guessing.
I can play on some scenarios of what I think he wanted to ask. Okay. I think he's saying, my guess is, they were enjoying. He said they were enjoying Facebook with 2G.
Yes.
I'm sure you won't want to say we are no longer enjoying Facebook, because Facebook is supposed to be faster with 4G.
Yes.
But my guess is, because even these platforms, they all continue to evolve too. They evolve with technology. Facebook, as we all see today, was not the Facebook we were all seeing years ago.
Nice.
A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have evolved. They are also catching up with the technology as it's moving rapidly. So maybe Shakiru might want to see that this might not actually be a generational, a cellular generation problem. That means that of 2G, 3G. It might be a device-specific problem, because you might still be using a 2G phone on a 4G network.
Yeah.
So maybe you might want to consider that
Okay.
and see. But maybe if you can call back and ask the question, then we'll have clarity.
Okay. Well, let me not tarry any longer, because Reverend Dominic has since come on the line. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
You make my day. I thank God for and thank you for this particular program this morning.
Thank you, sir.
It's well educated. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, please. I want to ask this question. I was in a friend's office on Tuesday.
Okay.
And he was trying to make a call and put earpiece. I said, why? He said, to put phone direct to your ear can cause health hazard. I want to ask your guest, is it true that putting phone direct to your ear to make a call, do you understand what I mean? Putting your handset direct to your ear to make a call, does it have any health hazard? Does it have any issue with your health?
Okay.
But a friend of mine is doing with earpiece. I said that putting it on your ear, your phone direct, can cause health hazard.
All right.
Please, could you educate us, because he is a very educated person, well traveled, just like him, but just like I am. But he was doing that and tell me, Reverend, don't put your handset direct to your ear, because it can cause you health hazard.
Okay.
Is it true?
Okay, Reverend. Let's mop that up. We're going back to
ionizing radiation.
Non-ionizing radiation. But what Reverend Dominic has brought forward, a lot of people, put credit on it.
Thank you very much, Reverend. So I would explain this question. First, the answer is it's not harmful, basically. But I'll try and explain so you can understand where that person is thinking, so you can be able to understand what I'm trying to explain. Now, the issue of information communication technology is actually a standardized concept globally. It's a standardized domain. We have a specialized agency of the United Nations called the International Telecommunication Union that ensures and harmonize standardization across ICT, including radio frequency transmitters,
ICT as in information communication technology.
Information communication technology. That's it. So now, aside that, the fact most of these devices you see, someone can just go to their office or their backyard and manufacture a device and throw it in the market. They go through standardization, and that's one.
Okay.
Secondly, what you have on your phone and what we are talking about 5G are not the same. The kind of what you are seeing on your phone, we have what we call transmitters and receivers, which is what you have on your phone. And these transmitters and receivers, they are also standardized. The only thing about phones are, for example, your phone might be very hot while you are making a phone call. That's a function of the state and the health of your battery. Now, in that case, for people who have maybe phones that are already misbehaving and faulty in itself, not because of the network or the transmission of the call, such phone that is getting hot could be placed on the air for a long time, could cause damage to your auditory systems. I mean your hearing systems now. Now that is the only situation where I would want to say you have a bad phone that gets hot easily while you're on the call. Don't place it on your head, or on your external ear environment. You can get an earpiece and to listen to such kind of phone.
I get what you're
but
saying.
when it's about a good phone, a phone that is standard, a phone that is working properly,
then you don't
have to worry about the transmission and receiving.
Okay.
It affects nothing.
Ogo has called in from the UK. Good morning, Ogo.
Good morning, Uncle Yeri.
Thank you for calling in, sir. Good morning.
Thank you. I basically want to support Mr. Oniya's view about 5G. The energy in 5G
well, it's not Oniya, but I understand. It's Oniya.
Oniya, okay.
Oniya.
Oh, sorry about that.
Actually, I think it's short for Oniya, maybe. I think it's short for that, but
okay.
yeah, Oniya.
Yes.
Please continue.
So, the energy in 5G is actually weaker than the energy in visible radiation, i.e. the light that we see.
Okay.
So Mr. Oniya is absolutely correct. It's a very weak energy. It gives us, or it gives technology greater capacity to do more.
Thank you.
So that's what it's about.
Thank you very much. You know, it's what you just said. I could liken it to some of the technologies that are coming out. How you're getting a lot more efficiency out of batteries nowadays because of the technology development there, and so they're smaller but much more powerful than before. I imagine there's some sort of no matter how hazy, some sort of a connection between those two ideas. You know, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I was trying to talk about distance. Our work mode change. So I was trying to give you the history of how distance has become a phenomenon we have to deal with in technology. For those of us in computing, we've realized you cannot compete with the future. You have to cooperate with it. Okay. Now, if we start from an era where we had started having distance of relationship, where people have 1,000 friends on Facebook and you've never ever met one of them. And so distance of relationship, we start from that era. We move from distance of relationship, and with the advent of COVID, we now went into distance of work, where now you don't even need to be at your workplace to be efficient. We now do remote working. Now we are moving into the future where I'm using predictive intelligence. Now we are going to be talking of distance of things, because whether we like it or not, the metaverse will come at us, which is the new form of a virtual internet system where you would purchase a property without even having to see it physically.
You just called it metaverse.
It's the metaverse.
And it's probably no accident that Facebook has evolved into a company that it now calls Meta.
Yeah.
And of course, since Meta in Yoruba is three, I don't know, people are making a joke of that, but it probably is connected.
The Facebook has a metaverse of its own. They built their own. So they are one of the proponents, the people promoting the metaverse the most, if I'm correct. Now, you see, distance becomes a reality for us. And technology is making us more efficient without having to physically commute. I'm seeing a future where we don't need to be traveling miles to get productivity out of autonomous systems or individuals. We can be in a space, enjoy the comfort of our environment, and still be very productive. That future is coming out. So distance is a reality.
There's some who will say it's here already. What we call the Zoom meetings. Certainly, but you see, this reminds me, in the midst of the whole COVID brouhaha, even engagements were performed on Zoom.
Yes.
So you could be in 3 different places. You'd be in the US, be in the UK, be in Nigeria, and people were doing an engagement ceremony.
Exactly.
But as soon as the thing chilled down a bit,
they switch back to status quo.
Or people began to find a place to.
Yeah.
Sylvester in Ibadan.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay.
That's Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Indeed.
Good morning.
It is Yori for
Thank you so much for this program.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Good morning. I have a question for your guest.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
First of all, I want to appreciate the knowledge he has
shared.
Given us this morning. But my question is, when this 5G started, when we had the news, there was a reaction from the United States because it was believed there that 5G, the hope of 5G was China or something like that. Do you think the reaction of United States on the deployment of this technology at that time had influence on the misgivings or misinformations that have gone around and unable to hold us hostage up till now?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sylvester, for that question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sylvester. Okay, if I'm correct, I think the only United States, I'm sure maybe you're talking about the sentiment to United States, I mean the populace, not from the government. But
well, also to add to what Mr. Sylvester was saying, you know, at the time in the U.S., I think in the earlier stages, the U.S., perhaps understandably, it didn't like the fact that, was it Korea or somebody, the Huawei people, Huawei people, we're going to launch 5G, and they couldn't stand for that. Why would you do it before us? So I remember that they banned them, they gave them all sorts of business trouble, put any kind of spikes in their way so that they wouldn't move. That is the way outsiders saw it, you know. But I don't know if that, in fact, I think they still are banned in the US.
Yeah, no, that's more of international politicking, and they alluded it to espionage that Huawei was carrying out. So I wouldn't want to go into international politics and governance, so we don't derail. Okay. But the issue, the only time when I think the United States authorities actually contributed to 5G was when an issue of interference on whether the 5G infrastructure should be planted close to airports. Okay. And it wasn't, they were not against 5G. They did not say 5G was bad. Okay. They were only making a case for the realistic point where 5G radio frequency can interfere with aeronautic signals.
And then that brings a safety concern.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Aerodynamic signals, basically. Okay. So that was the only concern they had, where they say you don't plant it close to airports.
Okay. Let me quickly rush. Sorry to interrupt you. Let me quickly rush to Abdul Aziz in Zamfara. Good morning, Abdul Aziz.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Please, hello. Good morning. We can hear you. Quickly, please.
A nice topic. I just want to point something. Well, you know, we as Nigerians, rather, you see, we have 4G networks, and to me, they are really, really good.
Okay.
We haven't even fully utilized 4G yet.
That's right. And
the introduction of 5G, and people are moving towards 5G. And back to non-ionizing radiation. Well, too much using of the phone at times can cause migraine headache. Well, it's a research that I did personally.
Okay.
Even though, yeah, when you have your data on and you're trying to make calls, surf internet at the same time, that radiation might give you a migraine headache sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
So that is a contribution that I want to...
Thank you very much, Abdul Aziz, calling in from Zamfara. He called it migraine, but I think intense will be enough for me, since migraine might be a medical terminology, but I think I know what he's talking about. You put the phone to your ear. First of all, it's getting hot, especially if you're speaking for around an hour on the phone. And then, understandably, depending on the physiology of different people, it might also cause a painful headache as well. Did you want to comment on that?
I'm very happy with what you said just now, when you said depending on the physiology of some people. The headaches don't get triggered by just the phone.
Yeah, but he's talking about...
You need to have a state of your well-being first before we even talk about why you even having headache in there. If you go to the hospital, we don't need to debate this too much. The phone itself, like I said, is not the radiation that's causing your headache. No doctor will tell you, diagnose and say your headache is from your phone. No. None. Because there is no... So there's no... You might have a predisposing factor to having headache before. And maybe they combine with the stress and possibly the heat, like I explained, which is not from the radiation. It might be the state of your phone's battery that's making your phone hot.
You even get that from overusing your headphone.
So it's not the radiation from the phone that's causing the headache.
Okay. You know, we've run out of time and there's so much more to talk about. But thank you very much for coming along. Mr. Stephen Oniya, CEO of SoftCity Group, sort of explained this a bit better to us. And as we go along, I know we shall get there. Next time you're back home, you know, if you can, we'll see if we can get you back and talk about the situation report. Thank you very much for coming. And that's our program today. We don't do Saturdays and Sundays, as you know, so the next day is a Monday. Do have a great weekend. I am Yori Fulani. Bye-bye for now.